Neil Battaglia, saxstation.com. I got this shirt from my brother. I like it. Alright, so I wanted to talk a minute about transposing. So sometimes I'll put up like a lesson on YouTube and it'll be played on tenor, and some people say, oh, how do you play that on an alto or bari? That happened today. And other times I'll put it up on alto and they'll say, oh, how do you play this on tenor? I remember a while back that happened. I think it's for Mr. Saxo Beat, and some guy got mad at me. But basically, it's a pretty simple process. It's basically addition and subtraction of numbers, small numbers. So if you want to transpose from concert, and what concert is basically, it's in the key of C. So the piano's in the key of C, the guitar's in the key of C, the trombone's in the key of C, the flute's in the key of C. There are quite a few instruments that are in the key of C. That basically means you don't transpose. If you say a note in concert pitch, that's the note that they play. Other instruments, basically because of the size they're made in, they're not in the key of C. The tenor sax is in the key of B flat. There are some saxophones, not so many that are currently made, but maybe a few are still being made. But there were some C melody saxophones. There were some sopranos in the key of C. So there were some saxophones where actually you didn't have to transpose. You would be able to read the same music as a guitar, or a piano, or a flute. But for various reasons, the tenor and the alto and the soprano and the bari kind of won out in what is being manufactured as far as saxophones go. So maybe it's because they sound a little bit better for whatever reason. This size works well for a saxophone. The alto works pretty well. The soprano, the bari. So we've got basically saxophones in B flat and E flat. So for tenor sax, it's in the key of B flat. C instruments are in C. The difference between C and B flat is a whole step. So if you see music for piano, you go up by a whole step. So if you see a B flat for piano, you play a C. It's a concert B flat instrument. That means a B flat concert is a C on this instrument. Same thing with the soprano, which is exactly an octave above the tenor. For the alto and the bari, it's a little bit harder, but not too bad. You actually can go down by a minor third. So 3 half steps, 1.5 whole steps. So if it's a concert E flat, it's a C on the alto. If it's a concert B flat, it's a G on the alto. You go down by a minor third. One thing that's kind of funny actually is that, and actually it's kind of useful really, is that music for trombone is written in bass clef, and bass clef is a space or a line below what treble clef is. So you can actually read trombone music on an alto saxophone if you change the key signature. But basically the notes are in the same places they'll be, even if they have a different sharp or flat or natural. So that's kind of interesting. If you didn't know that, it's kind of cool. But yeah, so basically, and then between the two saxophones, let's say tenor and alto, let's say we have a concert B flat. So that's a C on tenor, that's a G on alto. So a C and a G are either a fifth apart or a fourth apart. So you can think about the alto as being a fourth above the tenor. So you can either go between them like that with a fourth or a fifth, or you can kind of go back to concert pitch. You can say, oh, I'm playing a C on tenor. That's a concert D. A concert D is going to be a B on alto because it's a minor third below. Sometimes that's more convenient. It's maybe good to be able to do both of those methods for transposing. But I mean, more than one time I've thought of it in concert pitch. And if you're thinking in concert pitch, you can also think about the other instruments. So if you're talking to other people, especially like guitar players, piano players, flute players, trombone players, they're all going to be kind of thinking in concert pitch, so to say. So it's good to be able to go to concert pitch quickly. And from concert pitch, it's good to be able to go from concert pitch to alto or to tenor. And sometimes you can just go from your saxophone to concert pitch to another one. That's sometimes pretty easy to do, especially if you play both tenor and alto. But really, I would say transposing is something you pretty much need to know how to do as a saxophone player if you're going to play with other musicians, because they might try and transpose for you, but they might not be as comfortable with it as a saxophone player is. And also, you shouldn't have to rely on someone to do that. If maybe like the leader of the band, say, plays piano and they say, oh, play an E, they mean a concert E, almost definitely. They might be trying to help you out and transpose for you, but in that case, I would basically assume that if someone who plays piano or trombone or flute or guitar says a note, they're talking in concert pitch. They're not talking about your note on the saxophone. So you want to be able to go from concert pitch to whatever note you need to play on the saxophone. I actually went to a jam session at a barber shop last month, and there's this guy there playing trumpet, and I walked in, he was there before me, and they're playing a song, and I walked in with this saxophone, and he was trying to tell me the notes to play, and I was listening to him, and I was just listening to the music too, and what he was saying was definitely wrong. It just would not work at all. But what he actually thought was, he thought that this was an alto, and he was playing a trumpet, which is also a B-flat instrument, which uses the same note names as the tenor and the soprano. So he thought that he was helping me out by saying these other names of the notes, when he was basically almost throwing me off. If I had listened to him and done what he said, it would have sounded kind of weird probably. But I kind of listened to what he said and listened to the music and went with the music, because that's really more the truth, because people make mistakes. So basically he thought that I was playing an alto, so I guess he was trying to transpose in his head, going maybe to concert and then back to E flat. Maybe he was doing the fifth or the fourth away from the B flat instrument. Whatever he was doing, I kind of ignored it. And then afterwards, once the song ended, I was like, hey, I heard what you said, but this is also a B flat instrument. It's the same as the trumpet. So yeah, basically he could have told me the notes he was playing, and I could have transferred them directly. He could have told me the concert notes, and I would have used those pretty quickly and figured it out. I mean, up from a C is a D, up from a B flat is a C, up from an F is a G, up from an F sharp is a G sharp or an A flat, depending on how you think about it. It's pretty easy to transpose on tenor or trumpet or clarinet. All three of those instruments are in B flat. And I originally played clarinet, and then I started playing saxophone with tenor, and then later I started playing alto. So and it's just easier to transpose for a B flat instrument. It's a whole step up. That's it. You can basically look at concert music and transpose kind of on the fly. A lot of times. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to do that, depending on the notes. But usually it's not too bad. Usually you can do that, if not immediately, pretty quickly. So yeah, this trumpet player thought I had an alto. It wasn't an alto. If he had just told me concert pitch, I would have been fine. If he had told me his notes, that's directly what I'm going to play. But yeah, you should know how to transpose, and you should know how to transpose from concert. It's also good to be able to transpose between the different saxophone keys, though, between E flat and B flat. So you can either do that by going from yours to concert to the other one, or directly. They both work about the same. It's kind of either doing it in one step or in two steps. Like the two steps are slightly easier. The one step is maybe slightly faster if it's comfortable. So yeah, maybe I can make like a worksheet. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make a worksheet where it'll have some notes, and you can transpose it for alto or for tenor. And again, tenor, soprano, alto, bari, those are the same keys, just an octave apart. So yeah, it just takes some practice. If you're playing tenor, it's easier. If you're playing soprano, it's easier. If you're playing alto or bari, it's a little bit harder, but not too bad. And with a trombone music trick, that's kind of cool, actually. So yeah, let me know if you have more questions about transposing. I've actually written quite a few posts on Saxstation about transposing, because one question I've gotten more than once is it'll be a saxophone player playing a note and looking at a tuner, and the tuner will say something different, and it should say something different. If it says the note with the note name you're playing, if you play a C on tenor and it says C on the tuner, and it's not set up to do that, then you're really out of tune. Like it's almost hard to be that out of tune. I don't think that'd be too likely. But yeah, basically I've written about transposition before. Basically though, it's just a whole step or a minor third. That's the difference. You need to go from concert to saxophone, or from the saxophone to concert, and you can either go from saxophone to concert to saxophone, or from saxophone to saxophone. Either way. So let me know if that answers your questions about transposition, if you have any other maybe related questions to it, and I could probably answer those up. I like to answer questions about playing music and about transposition. I do answer some questions about like getting a saxophone and brands a little bit, because people, I mean, especially early on, you kind of want to know, am I getting a good saxophone? Is it going to be easy to play? Is it going to be harder to play? Is it going to break? Things like that. Those are important, but at the same time, you don't want to like focus on equipment too much. And I don't want to focus on equipment like all the time. So I throw up lessons with pieces of songs, with pieces of ideas you can put into a solo, with questions, answers I've gotten. Sometimes I put up like samples of my classes and just things related to music. So let me know what you think, and check out Saxophone to see more.